When truth begins to surface, the story behind the Colaz Smith, God, and Nick Vlog controversy. So sometimes the truth does not arrive loudly, my people. Sometimes it appears slowly, quietly, through pieces of evidence that people ignored before. But every now and then, something happens that forces everyone to stop, look again, and ask themselves a serious question. What if the people we doubted were actually telling the truth all along? That is the question many viewers across the Jamaica YouTube community are asking today after a past WhatsApp voice note surfaced from Gongad, a former member of the Colaz Smith TV circle. The voice note, according to discussions now circulating online, appears to confirm something that some creators had been warning about for a long time. It suggests that tensions between Nick Vlog TV and Colaz Smith may have started after Colaz confronted behaviors he believes was harmful towards Grongat and her son Tarzan. For months, people debated, they argued and even took sides. Some viewers believe Colaz Smith was stirring trouble. Others believe he was simply trying to protect someone who may not yet have realized the danger she was in. Now the conversation, my people, has taken a new direction because now we have Grongad herself has reportedly come forward to say something that few expected. She believes Colin Smith and channels like Common Sense may have been right all along. Before we go deeper into this story, let me just welcome everyone watching, people. This platform over here is Common Sense News Family, a place where we try to examine stories thoughtfully instead of rushing to judgment. Here we believe that conversations should be honest, respectful, and grounded in careful observations rather than blind loyalty or blind criticism. If you are new here, you are welcome to become a part of this community. Remember to take a moment to subscribe, like the video, share it with others, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps this channel continue bringing thoughtful discussions about the stories that matter in our communities. So now let's us just look at what appears to have unfolded. To understand why this story has attracted so much attention, we first have to understand the role that Color Smith TV has played in Jamaica YouTube space. So, over time, my people, Colors built a following by sharing real life. Remember now, his channel often focus on daily experiences, community interactions, and moments that many viewers found authentic. Unlike highly produced entertainment channels, Color's content felt personal. People saw ordinary individuals navigating real situations. That authenticity built trust people. Supporters often describe Colors as someone who speaks directly, even when his words are uncomfortable. And sometimes speaking honestly can create enemies just as quickly as it creates supporters. At one point, GroundGod became part of the extended community around the channel. Viewers saw interactions between her and the team, and many believe she had found a supportive group of people. But relationships are rarely simple. Behind the scenes, there were reportedly growing tensions connected to her relationship with another content creator known online as Nick Vlog TV. At the time, many viewers saw only the surface of that relationship. What they did not see were the private conversations, the disagreements, and concerns that some people around her began to notice. Several creators within the same digital space, including voices from the Common Sense platform, reportedly expressed concern about Nick's intentions. They suggested that he might not have been genuinely invested in the well-being of GroundGod and her child. Instead, they feared he might have been more interested in the attention and the financial support that often comes with a growing YouTube presence. Such warnings were controversial. Supporters of Nick dismissed them as jealousy or unnecessary interference, but those raising the concerns believed they were witnessing patterns that did not sit well with them. From their perspective, they were not trying to create drama, they believed they were trying to protect someone. One of the most complicated aspects of the situation or a situation like this is the way personal relationships influence perception. When someone is deeply involved with another person, criticism of that partner can feel like a personal attack. It is natural for individuals to defend those they love or trust. But according to discussions now resurfacing online, this may have been part of what happened between Gongad and the Colasmate team. As tensions increased between Colaz Smith and Nick Vlog TV, it appears that Gongad gradually distanced herself from the people who had once supported her. Some observers believe Nick may have encouraged that separation. If true, It would not be the first time in human history that someone influenced a partner to turn away from friends who raised concerns. Also, the turning point in this whole story came when a past WhatsApp voice note allegedly recorded by Grongad began circulating again. In that recording, she reportedly spoke about an intense confrontation involving Nick and Colaz. According to those discussions, the recording according to those discussing the recording, sorry about that, my people, the voice note suggests that Nick reacted angrily after Colaz confronted him about behaviors toward Gongad and her son. The resurfacing of that message reignited a debate that many people thought had already ended. Suddenly, viewers began revisiting old conversations and asking whether the earlier warnings had been dismissed too quickly. Perhaps the most emotional part of the current situation is Gronga's reported admission that she now regrets ignoring those earlier warnings. She has reportedly acknowledged that fear and shame prevented her from speaking openly before. Those feelings are not unusual, my people. Remember, so many people who later recognize problem in a relationship admit that it can take time before they feel strong enough to face the truth publicly. Admitting that others were right can be painful, people, but it can also be a step towards healing. Throughout this entire situation, supporters of Colin Smith have continued to defend his intentions. They argue that his actions were motivated by concern rather than hostility. From their perspective, Colaz was willing to risk criticism in order to speak out about something he believed was wrong. Whether viewers agree with every decision or the decision he made or not, many acknowledge that confronting uncomfortable issues requires courage. In communities where reputations and loyalty carry deep meaning, taking such a stand is rarely easy. Stories like this reveal something important about social media culture. Platforms like YouTube can amplify voices quickly, but they can also amplify misunderstandings. Why audience take sides without hearing every perspective? Situations can escalate rapidly. What begins as a disagreement can transform into a full scale public conflict. The challenge for viewers is to remain thoughtful, listening carefully, asking questions, and remembering that every person involved is a human being, not simply a character in an online story. As more people examine the voice note and the statements now being made, the discussion surrounding Colin Smith, Grongad, and Nick Vlog TV continues to evolve. For some viewers, the development confirms suspicions that they held from the beginning. For others, they raise new questions about what truly happened behind the scenes. What remains certain is that the situation reminds us how complicated personal relationships can become once they intersect with public platforms. Also, in moments like these, my people, the most responsible approach is patience, right? Truth often reveals itself over time. As more voices speak and more evidence appears, the picture becomes clearer. And also, the best we can do is listen carefully, support those who may be hurting, and encourage honesty, whether wherever it appears, my people. Now, my people, what we are gonna do, we are gonna jump in one more in detail version of this whole incident. We are going from a much more humane perspective. So, getting into this headline is stating that when warning goes unearthed, how the story between Colin Smith, Gongad, and Nick Vlog unfolded. So, when concern is mistaken for conflict, in many communities, my people, one of the hardest thing a person can do is speak up when they believe something is wrong. Even when the intention is good, the reaction is often misunderstood. Sometimes people see concern as interference, sometimes they see honesty as disrespect, and sometimes the person raising the alarm becomes the villain in a story where they were only trying to protect someone else. That is a pattern many observers believe may have played out in the complicated situation involving Colaz Smith TV, Grongad, and Nick Vlog TV. For months, the public's conversation surrounding these individuals appeared simple on the surface. They were disagreements, accusations, and emotional reactions across YouTube and social media. But as many more pieces of the story begin to emerge, it has become clear that the reality behind the scene may have been far more complex. According to discussions now circulating within the Jamaica YouTube community, the resurfacing of a past voice note or a past WhatsApp voice note from Grongad has caused many viewers to reconsider how the conflict between Colin Smith and Nick Vlog TV truly began. One of the defining features of community across Jamaica is the deep sense of loyalty that exists between people. Friends defend friends, family stands with family, and once someone chooses a side in a disagreement, it can be very difficult to step back and reconsider the situation from another perspective. This sense of loyalty can be both a strength and a challenge. It creates powerful bonds between individuals, but it can also make it harder for people to hear warnings about someone they trust. Also, those who supported Gonga during the earlier stages of this situation remember how strongly she defended Nick Vlog TV when criticism began to appear online. From her point of view at the time, many of the comments directed at Nick likely felt unfair or exaggerated. Also, both insight or hindsight often changes how people interpret past events, and that is exactly what had appeared to be happening now. The voice note that has recently drawn so much attention reportedly dates back to an earlier moment when tensions between Colaz Smith and Nick Vlog TV were already rising. In the recording, which has been widely discussed, though not always fully shared publicly, Grongad allegedly describes an incident in which Nick confronted Colaz after feeling that he had been exposed or criticized. Those who claims to have heard the recording say it suggests that the conflict between the two men did not begin as random internet drama. Instead, they believe it may have started when callers raised concern about how Grongad and her son Tarzan were being treated. If that interpretation is accurate, it would explain why emotions quickly escalated when personal relationships are involved. Criticism can feel deeply threatening. So, right now, my people, when someone believes their reputation or control over a situation is being challenged, reactions can sometimes become intense. Psychologists and social observers often describe a pattern that appears in many difficult relationships. At first, everything seems positive. A person appears charming, supportive, and eager to build something together. Over time, however, small warning signs begin to appear. Friends notice changes in behaviors. Also, communications become strained, conflicts become more frequent, but the person inside the relationship may not immediately recognize these changes because they are emotionally invested. People who have experienced similar situations often say the hardest part is not the conflict itself, it is the realization that the warnings they once rejected might have contained the truth. That realization people can now be painful, and according to recent statements, ground God may now be going through that exact emotional process. Another factor that cannot be ignored is in this situation is the influence of the whole social media fame. Even relatively small YouTube channels can create opportunities that did not exist before. Attention, financial support from viewers, and chance to build a personal brand. For some individuals, that attention becomes addictive. Observers within the Jamaica YouTube community have long discussed how quickly relationships can change once subscribers' number begins to rise. When money, recognition, and influence enters the picture, the motives of people around a channel sometimes become difficult to read. That is one of the reasons creators like Common Sense have often warned viewers to be careful about trusting every personality they see online. Not everyone who smiles on camera has good intentions behind the scene. Also, looking back now, many viewers believe Gongad may have found herself caught between two competing influences. On one side where were people like Colaz Smith and others within his circle who reportedly questioned Nick's behavior and intentions. On the other side was the man she was in a relationship with, the person she likely trusts most at all time. Also, when those two sides clashed, she faced a painful choice: support the partner she believed in or listen to the friends raising warnings. In many cases, people choose loyalty to the person closest to them, and that appears to be what happened. What has changed recently is that Grongad herself has reportedly begun acknowledging that she may have misjudged the situation. In conversations now being discussed across social media, she has suggested that she was afraid to speak openly earlier because of embarrassment and fear of public criticism. Also, she admitted that the relationship was unhealthy is not easy, and also especially when thousands of viewers have watched parts of that relationship unfolded online. But many supporters now say they respect her willingness to speak honestly about the experience. In their eyes, acknowledging mistake shows growth rather than weakness. Also, for those who support Colaz Smith from the beginning, these recent developments have strengthened their beliefs that he acted out of concern rather than personal rivalry. They argue that confronting a sensitive issue involving someone else's relationship was never going to be easy. Doing so publicly risked backlash and misunderstanding. Yet, they believe he chose to speak up anyway because he felt a responsibility to protect someone he considered part of his extended community or family. Whether viewers fully agreed with every step he took or not, many acknowledge that such actions required a certain level of courage. It is far easier to remain silent and avoid conflict. Also, one more I want to know, throughout the broader conversation, platforms like Common Sense News Family have continued encouraging viewers to look at the situation carefully rather than simply choosing sides. One of the responsibilities of commentary channels is to create space for discussion while also reminding the audience that real lives are involved. Behind every online argument are people experiencing real emotions, fear, regret, anger, and sometimes relief when the truth finally begins to emerge. For many viewers following this story, the most powerful lessons may not be about who was right or wrong. Instead, it may be about the importance of listening carefully when people raise concern about someone's well-being. Sometimes these warnings come from a place of genuine care, and sometimes the truth behind these warnings only become clear much later. Also, as the conversation surrounding Colin Smith, Grongad, and Nick Black continues to develop, one thing remains certain: the story is still unfolding. More voices may come forward, more details may emerge, and the perspective of those involved may continue to evolve. Also, this moment, but moment like these are also reminds us that communities grow stronger when people are willing to reflect, learn, and move forward with greater understanding. So right now, I'm just going to quickly say before we get any further in detail, if you appreciate thoughtful discussions like this, remember to support the channel, subscribe to Common Sense News Family, and remember to like the video, share it with others, and join the conversation in the comments. Your support helps this platform grow and bring balanced discussion to communities. Also, we are going to take a moment to reflect. Remember, now, people, this is a moment that calls for deep reflection. You see me? So there are moments in life with a situation when a situation becomes bigger, that is, than simply disagreement. What starts as a conflict between individuals slowly turning into something deeper, something that forces everyone watching to reflect on their own values, their own choices, and the way they treat one another. The situation involving Colaz Smith TV, Grongad, and Nick Vlog TV has reached a point where many people in the online community are doing exactly that. And when I sit down and think about the story from a personal perspective, I cannot help but approach it through the lens of faith. Because when you believe in God, you also believe that truth has a way of revealing itself eventually. Sometimes that revelation comes quickly, other times it takes months or even years before the full picture becomes clear. But one thing that believers often hold close to their hearts is this simple principle. What is done in darkness will eventually come to light. That is not a statement meant to condemn anyone. It is simply a reminder that human actions have consequences, and the truth has a powerful way of surfacing even when people try to hide it. Also, for those who follow the journey of Colaz Smith, many supporters says they believe he carried a difficult burden for quite some time now. Speaking up about concerns involving someone else's relationship, as we said before in multiple occasions, is never easy. It places a person in a position where they may be misunderstood or criticized by others who do not know the full story. But there are moments when staying silent feels even worse. You see me, people? Those who defend Colors often says that his actions came from a place of concern rather than a rivalry. From their perspective, he was not trying to destroy anyone's reputation. Instead, they believe he was trying to protect someone he considered part of his family. When you view the situation through a faith based perspective, that kind of action can be seen as an act of conscience. Sometimes doing this right thing means risking your own comfort or reputation, and that is something many people of faith understands very well. Now that Grongad has reportedly begun acknowledging that some of those earlier warnings may have been correct, the emotional weight of the situation becomes even clearer. Anyone who has ever experienced a difficult relationship knows how painful it can be to look back and realize that the signs were there all along. People often ask themselves questions like, why didn't I see it sooner? Why didn't I listen when others tried to warn me? But the truth is that human emotions are complicated. Love, loyalty, hope, and fear can all cloud our judgment at different times in life. From a faith centered point of view, it is important to approach moments like this not with harsh judgment, but with compassion, because everyone makes mistakes, my people, and admitting those mistakes publicly requires courage. You see me? One of the most powerful moments in any human story is when pride give way to humility. When a person stands up and says, I was wrong, or I wish I had listened, that moment reveals something deeply human. It shows growth, my people, and growth is something that every believer understands as part of life's journey. Also, according to those discussing the situation online, Grongad has begun expressing regret about the ways events unfolded and the ways relationships within the community were affected. If that is truly the case, then perhaps this moment can become something more than just internet drama. Perhaps it can become a lesson about listening carefully to those who care about us, a lesson about recognizing when someone may not have our best interest at heart, and most importantly, a lesson about finding the strength to move forward after painful experiences. So, from a God fearing perspective, forgiveness plays an important role in moments like this, my people. Forgiveness does not mean ignoring the harm that may have occurred. Instead, it means choosing not to let anger control the future. Also, communities grow stronger in people when people are willing to forgive and rebuild relationship with honesty and respect. And that may be the path forward many individuals involved in this whole situation. Also, now let me speak directly to everyone who is a part of the Common Sense News family. This channel exists because of you guys. Remember, every discussion we have here, every story we examine, and every moment of reflection we share is made possible by the supporters of this community. Running a channel that brings thoughtful commentary and meaningful discussions takes time, energy, and resources, my people. And for platforms like this to remain active, the support of viewers become extremely important. If you believe in what this channel stands for, truth, thoughtful conversation, and faith-centered reflection, then there are several ways you can help keep the platform alive and growing. So, one of the most powerful ways supporters can contribute during live discussions or premieres is through YouTube super chats and super stickers. When viewers send a super chat during a live stream, their message becomes highlighted so it stands out in the conversation. It allows your voice to be heard while also helping to support the work that goes into producing these discussions. Remember now, we have super stickers. Work in a similar way, they allow supporters to show appreciation and encouragement in a fun, visible way during live events. Another way to contribute is through super thanks, which allows viewers to send support directly on regular videos. And of course, many viewers also choose to send gifts or donations as a way of helping the channel remain active and continue bringing content to the community. Remember now, my people, that every contribution, big or small, helps keep the platform running and allows more stories like this to be examined thoughtfully. So, platforms like Common Sense News Family people are built on community. Unlike large media corporations, independent channels rely on the people who believe in their message. When viewers choose to support through super chat, super stickers, super thanks, or other gifts, they are doing more than sending money. They are investing in a space where conversations can happen honestly, and they are helping ensure that voices from our communities continue to be heard. Also, the most importantly, they are helping build a platform that encourages reflection rather than division. Also, as this story continues to develop, it is important for everyone involved and everyone watching to remember something simple but powerful. Life is full of lessons, my people. Sometimes those lessons come through joy and success, other times they come through mistakes and painful realization. But every lesson offers an opportunity for growth. If the persons or the people involved in this situation can learn from the past and move forward with greater wisdom, then perhaps something positive can come out of what has been a difficult chapter. And for those of us watching from the outside, the most important thing we can do is remain thoughtful, compassionate, and committed to the truth. Also, I just want to say to you guys, if you appreciate conversations like this, remember to support the channel, my people. Subscribe to the Common Sense News family, like the video, share it with others, and if you are able, consider supporting through super chat, super thanks, or super thanks stickers. And remember, we have gifts and donations available also. And more want to remember these people that your support helps keep this platform alive and allows the conversations to continue. So right now, people, as I just want to say, I just want to bless up all of my lovely supporters. Hoping all of my lovely supporters them will have a blessed day. Remember now, your host Common Sense tuning out, should say. Sorry about that, people. Once more again, we just forward out with a quick update on the whole Colaz situation involving him and the abuse that Grongad has been going through, she and her son Tarzan, with her baby father Nick. So people who want to get busy in the comment section, remember to support the channel if you are able to do so. And remember, liking the video, just watching the video and being here with us is your support, and we appreciate you guys being here in the first place. So I just want to emphasize enough love, enough respect, and enough blessings and enough coverage for you guys over here, enough protection for you guys anywhere you guys are in our Jamaican society or our wider diaspora. Just take care of yourself, stay safe, stay blessed. Always Common Sense telling you guys to stay safe. I'm out.